Joining us to delve into all of this, Phil Haney. He's one of the founding members of the Department of Homeland Security. His security clearances, interesting, have been revoked. And the documents that they had put together in the 12 years that he was with the Department of Homeland Security, he had to erase when Barack Obama became president. And he believes it could have had an impact in both the Orlando and San Bernardino shootings. Information could have helped us prevent it. Bill Binney is the former technical director of the NSA, World Geopolitical Military Analyst and Reporting Group, and he also had security clearances revoked. And Sara Carter, Fox News contributor, investigative reporter. Sara, let's start first with this back and forth between Sessions and the president.
Well, it was bound to happen, Sean. And, earlier today I just spoke with Senator Lindsey Graham and had a long conversation with him. And he was very direct. He said, look, Sessions obviously has no confidence in the president. The president and his relationship has deteriorated to such a point that the administration and the country is being affected by this. And the president has every right to choose who he wants to be, the attorney general. And he has the right to do that. And I think what we see now is that both, Graham as well as Senator Charles Grassley are ready. They're coming out. They're trying to get their Republican colleagues on board. They know they're not going to get the Dems on board. The Dems are going to scream, murder at this point, but they believe that at this point in time, it is time for Sessions to move on. Now, I told you, and I talked to you about this last night on your show, that there is some talk as well within the DOJ and up on Capitol Hill that maybe Sessions himself will find a moment to resign because he is so close and was so close to the campaign, and that there may be some conflicts. But I think the biggest conflict right now for Attorney General Jeff Sessions is the fact that his president that he is supposed to be serving no longer has confidence in him. And we know there's a number of very important cases that should have been brought front and center for the DOJ, and we haven't seen any information on those cases yet. Michael Flynn, who leaked his information on the tech cuts. We haven't seen any information on what's happening with the Hillary Clinton Foundation investigation, which we know is ongoing, and many other investigations that you and I have discussed.
Let me go. Bill Binney, by the way, I heard about your loss recently. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I want you to know that you're in our thoughts and prayers, and we're thinking about you. How many years were you at the NSA, sir?
36 total, 4 in the military and 32 as a civilian.
And you lost your security clearance?
Yes, they trumped up charges, the FBI and the DOJ and the NSA got together and manufactured charges and got some mindless judge to sign it, who didn't know any better because they labeled it national security and they don't know what they're dealing with there. And they simply had to believe them, and they had a pack of lies. It took us 5 years to find out exactly what they said because we had to sue them to get that affidavit, to get the warrant. And it was just a list of lies.
Well, let me ask you, does our government, are they surveilling every American? And by that I mean when people send text messages or phone calls are made or emails are sent, does our government or do they use proxy governments or others in any way to store that data?
No, they're doing it directly through taps on the fiber network inside the United States. It's the Fairview program, which is AT&T with 100 taps inside the United States distributed with the population. Those taps are going after Americans, not foreigners. I mean, if they were after foreigners, all they'd have to do is be at the coastal points where the transoceanic cables surface. They're right across the country with our population. That's the target.
Are you saying that everybody's emails and text messages and phone calls are recorded?
Yes, and digitized and searched with mostly with software.
Wow. And is that your experience, Phil Haney? And you had your security clearances revoked, too?
Absolutely. It happened to me, too. They told me they looked at my emails and my phone calls for several years before they actually were investigating the incidents that I was supposedly involved with. I asked them, what is it? Why do you have the authority to do that? And they very plainly told me we can do exactly what we want to do.
Wow. And it's true that when you had worked, you're a founding member of the Department of Homeland Security, and you've built up, if I can use the term, dossiers on people that you believe we should keep an eye on as a country that could be possible or involved down the line in some terror activities, that you were told to literally get rid of that?
Yes, literally. I mean, I have the proof of it. It's as literal as you can get. I have the timestamp and the name of the person that did it. I wanted to also mention about the misuse of FOIA in the process. The fellow that's on the line that lost his clearance, it took him 5 years to find out why they did it, but it only took him 5 minutes to revoke it. You see? Yeah. It just shows you what they can do. They can do things in the snap of a finger if they want to, but if they want to hold it up and keep you from finding out, they will literally force you to spend years and years trying to find out why they took the actions that they took.
Bill, what did you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, we had to go to a court, do a lawsuit against them to get them to even return our material that they stole from us.
Unbelievable. You know, Sarah, if that's all true, wouldn't we be able to prove this? And don't we have a Constitution and a Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure? And why are we all getting worked up about FISA warrants if all this information is out there anyway?
But, Sean, we have a system that doesn't check on itself. It basically runs itself. It's a machine, and both Phil and Bill are absolutely right about what they're talking about. Remember, we broke those stories on your show last year. Unwarranted surveillance, monitoring of U.S. citizens, people from inside both the FBI and NSA that were saying the same thing. Look, they can just change the name of the operation or project. They have plans for this stuff to come out. As soon as this stuff leaks, they shut everything down, they open something else up, and nobody knows what happened. This is the reason why Senator Rand Paul and others, and remember the Democrats used to be on board with this, said we need checks and balances. We need to know what is going on inside our intelligence community because right now it's being abused. And how many unmaskings occurred? How many unmaskings were reported? Even the courts themselves were stunned at the abuse that was happening within the NSA and other departments. But nothing ever changes. Nothing ever gets done because Congress has to hold people accountable.
We'll take a break. More with Sarah Carter, Bill Binney, Philip Haney, and more on the other side. All right, as we continue with Bill Binney, Phil Haney, and Sarah Carter. All right, so now that this battle is going on, and I don't know why Lindsey Graham would say, well, he might be able to do this after the election. What's the point of him saying that, Sarah?
I think there's concern that there's so much happening right now that they won't be able to get confirmation of somebody else in that amount of time. But now we also know that that Senator Chuck Grassley is saying, well, wait a minute, we might be able to make this happen before the election. We might be able to get this done. I think there's also a lot of concern about a lot of politicking, how people are going to use this before the election. Are they going to try to charge that the president is getting involved before the election? Is that going to be a problem? So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of debate as to how this should play out and when it should play out. Now, there's always that option that Attorney General Jeff Sessions will just resign.
We don't see any movement on the issues that I've engaged in, Philip Haney, and, I don't see any reason that anyone should have any confidence that anything's going on behind the scenes. All you get when you ask a question is, well, we couldn't comment if there was an ongoing investigation, and we can't confirm or deny there is one. But it seems like everything always moves against Trump, and all these deep state shenanigans are never brought to fruition. And then the indictments that should have been given have not been given.
Well, that's what struck me listening to the comments today is the absolute lack of respect for the position of the president and the presidency. Everybody's telling him what to do. But that's one of the things that I admire most about President Trump is his ability, his timing. He's been waiting like fruit on a tree for these issues to ripen before he took action. But now some of the fruit is ripening. One more thing about Attorney General Sessions. If he says that he's running the Justice Department without undue political influence, then remember why he recused himself in the first place. It had to do with Russian collusion. He has not drawn any boundaries around the investigation. He's let it run wild. And that's what President Trump is so upset about. And the other thing is the campaign promise to look into designation of the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. That's in his purview, and we haven't heard a single word about that for months.
Bill Binney will give you the last word.
Well, I mean, even with the Rosenstein indictment, I mean, we proved that the Gusler 2 material is a fabrication, and he's using that as a basis for the indictment, along with the DC leaks. I mean, and then the indictment simply lists all the charges under Title 18 instead of Title 52, where all the violations of voting and election fraud or crimes are.
I got to let you all go, but Bill, I'm sorry again. Phil Haney, thank you. Sarah, we'll see you on TV tonight. Thank you all for being with us.